Hello guys, hope you and your families are doing well. Jack Corsellis here, going to be taking you through 17 stocks in the MarketSmith Growth to 50 list. So I do the weekend video, which is the IBD 50 list, but going to start doing a midweek episode, if you like, stocks in the MarketSmith Growth to 50 list. So yes, there'll be a little bit of overlap in terms of the stocks, but it'll give you guys an opportunity to know the type of stocks that I am looking at. So it is primarily going to be stocks that are basing out, so building cup and handle, VCPs, flags, Darvis boxes, all of that good stuff, and displaying impressive relative strength. I'll be taking you through the stocks on the MarketSmith charts. There, today's video sponsored discounted trial available in the comments below if you are interested. So let's get into the 17 stocks on the MarketSmith Growth to 50 list. Now, these 17 stocks are going to be primarily focused in solar, healthcare, biotech, oil and gas, and also semiconductors. That is where I'm seeing the most strength from a sector and industry group perspective, and also individual stocks potentially setting up as well. So let's start going into it. Some of these stocks I may have positions in at the time of filming. Enphase Energy is one of those. I already have a position in it, but I think solar is very interesting. If you have not watched Tony Seba's videos, you can just Google his name, YouTube it. He's got some really interesting videos on solar stocks. So Enphase Energy, in terms of the kind of can slim leader of the bunch, I think it is triple digit earnings, most recent quarters, positive reaction to the second most recent earnings report, positive reaction here, and potentially setting up this nice cup and handle. I already have a position in it. I took it through the second to last bar high, and there with a stop just in there as well. So this one is getting out the gate okay. So far, I'll be looking to obviously mitigate the risk and see if I can ride a decent trend. But Enphase Energy looks really good. Earnings there, sales there, high quality growth funds in there as well. Let me show you a couple of other solar stocks. So this one here is AVRI Technologies. So another solar stock. So it's nice to see other stocks in the group. So brother and sister stocks acting well as well. You've got a higher quality growth fund initiating a position in Q3 of 2022. Positive reaction to the recent earnings reports coming through, as we saw with Enphase Energy, and you can see this potential cup and handle pattern. It's just sitting above the 10 and 21 EMA. That's going to be the pink line and the green line. The red line there is the 50, and the black line down here is the 200. So just looking for a nice constructive pivot to form in here. Low 20s. What would that be? Maybe 21, somewhere between 20, 21, $22, something like that. Just watching, waiting for it to tighten up. Already long a couple of solar stocks, being Enphase Energy and First Solar. So looking to add exposure if other solar stocks are going to set up. Impressive earnings, sales, triple digits, most recent quarter. Estimates look great. 2022 plus 750%. 2023 plus 185% with the forward guidance up. So solar's looking pretty strong. Let me show you two other solar stocks. This one here is SHLS. So again, positive reaction to the most recent earnings. Now on a short-term basis, obviously extended here, but it's a nice move. Volume coming through as well. So just at a minimum, I want to see the 10 EMA catch up, but potentially a low pivot forming around $30, $31, something like that. We'll see how this one plays out, but on the radar, most definitely. SPWR. Now the solar stocks are a little bit weaker from a technical standpoint, but you can start to see some good action coming through, especially in the most recent earnings. You can see the volume coming through, pushing up. So potentially a low pivot forming here. So you've got this larger base potentially playing out as well that I like. So causality, potentially a nice large base building here, and then in the final pass, it's got some kind of cup and handle type action. You can start to see how it's just drifting sideways nicely in here. So the handle will often represent a Darvis box of VCP. So it's starting to tighten up. Would just like it to go sideways a little bit more, at least let the 10 EMA catch up. But one that's acting pretty constructive. FUTU, a little bit hard for you guys to see, but nearly a high type flag. You can see going from $28 to over $50. It needs a little bit more time to base out here, but it's fairly constructive. If this can just go sideways for another week or so around $50, and it just sets up kind of a perfect trigger bar around the 10 EMA, that there could be very interesting to me. RS lines beginning to turn up. Appreciate a little bit small to see, but FUTU looks interesting. Had a history in 2020 of being able to go on some decent runs as well. Getting into some of the healthcare biotech related stocks. This one here is United Therapeutics, UTHR. So you've got Fidelity in there, establishing a position in, or initiating a position in Q2 2022, adding in Q3 2022. Positive reaction to the most recent earnings reports. So it's a potential, the way I'm looking at this, potential cut with a high handle forming. So it needs a little bit more work in the handle, kind of wedging up here. So just another week or so, maybe just going sideways in a handle would be constructive, but certainly one on the radar. Healthcare biotech, certainly an area that I'm seeing strength. We're actually going to oil and gas, how these industry groups come up. We'll come back to healthcare and biotech in a little bit. So a couple of oil and gas stocks. So CVI, oh, they're not lined up perfectly. That's a little bit annoying. Anyway, we'll carry on with the video. CVI. So potentially a cup and handle type pattern playing out. So that would be the cup. Here would be the handle. You get a couple of shakeouts in the handle, undercutting the 21 EMA. Now, historically, oil and gas stocks are much more difficult to trade, as are the majority of commodity stocks. There have been some cleaner moves, which is nice to see with CVI, which is why it's more so on my radar. I prefer trading stocks with cleaner moves instead of where they're just choppy and all over the place, basically. So potential cup and handle setting up. Pivot point maybe forms in the low 40s, around $40 or so, $41. So just watching and waiting for this to tighten up a little bit. Would like to see a perfect trigger bar basically setting up on the 1021 EMA. Now this was actually trading below some of the longer term key moving averages, but you see how tight the price action got in here? See how the volume dries up? That is what I will be waiting for. If you don't know what enough trigger bars are, you can find that in other videos on the channel. EXLS is the next one. So you got high quality growth funds in there, increasing positions in recent quarters. Good to see. Positive reaction to the two most recent earnings reports on volume as well. That is good. Steady Eddie in terms of the year-over-year earnings per share. So again, a potential cup and handle type pattern. Needs a little bit more work for this handle to go sideways. Preferably the 21 EMA catches up, but if it can just go sideways, tighten up, something like that in there, I think that looks pretty interesting. Chevron, oil and gas stock. Another one which is potentially building a big cup and handle type pattern. So this would be the cup, this would be the handle. There's some smart people who tell you why oil and gas stocks have a lot further to run. I don't know, I'll always default to the charts, but I like seeing these large bases. Fidelity initiated the position in Q1 of this year, added in Q2, added again in Q3. So nice to see that you have a high quality growth fund in there. Chevron has a history of being able to make some cleaner moves. Do you see how tight the price action gets in here? So you know when I'm blabbering on about kind of the pivot forming, trigger bars coming in, this is the type of behavior I want to see. See how tight it gets in here? See how the volume just dries up there, sitting on the 1021 EMA. Nice. So I'll be looking for something similar to happen with Chevron in a potential handle. So that is one on my radar in terms of oil and gas stocks. This one here, this is Sterling Infrastructure, STRL. So a nice powerful move coming up here on volume in reaction to the earnings as well. So it had a very good pre-earnings run and then a very good reaction to the earnings, pushing up strong closes. Now clearly on a short-term basis, the stock is extended, isn't it? So it just needs to go sideways. Preferably the 21 EMA catches up. So maybe it goes sideways for another week or two. Let the 10 EMA, 21 EMA and just kind of drift sideways like this, something like this. So then I'm looking to buy a trigger bar when it's setting up around there. It kind of got pretty tight in here and made a decent run. So that's another one I'm keeping a close eye on. SMCI, so getting into more of the tech related stocks. Now this one is catching my attention. You've got the last 3 quarters of triple digit earnings, sales accelerating 51, 53, 79%, margins accelerating 4%, 6%, 8%, 10%, really nice to see. So positive reaction to the most recent earnings on volume as well. Now the stock is clearly wedging up, but because of the strength of this stock and in the face of a bear market as well, I think it's really interesting. Again, it's a company you've probably never heard of, which is good. It's absolutely powering up here. So can it just go sideways for a couple of weeks or so? Just go sideways, get nice and tight, boring, maybe let the 10 EMA and the 21 EMA just start kind of rounding off, drifting sideways, but that there could then look fairly interesting. So that's one on the radar. Ticker ON. So this one is related to clean alternative energy stocks. It's a semiconductor stock itself, but potentially a nice large base building in here. Now it's still a little bit choppy. You have had 3 high quality growth funds in there, 2 of which have been increasing their position in the last 3 quarters. Good to see. So that indicates the stock is under accumulation, especially when you have this large base forming and these RS lines turning up. Still a little bit choppy, but maybe something can set up in the low 70s. That's how I would be looking at it. Potentially a low pivot point forming around the 1021 EMA. That's how I'm keeping my eye on it. GFS, another semiconductor stock, fairly interested by this one actually. You can see it IPO'd and it didn't just get absolutely kind of hammered as many stocks have that have IPO'd in the last 18 months. The bear market for growth really started in Q1 of 2021, but this stock, it did sell off, didn't it? But it's starting to build this nice base. You got the RS lines turning up, good reaction to the earnings. 2 most recent quarters, 999 coming through for the earnings, and the prior 2 quarters still triple digit earnings. So I think this one's interesting in the context of a large IPO base potentially, and this cup and handle, it needs a little bit of work in the handle now, and it's been strong of late, but can it just go sideways along, say, the 10 EMA at least, if not letting the 21 EMA catch up, get nice and tight in there, and then potentially looking to buy in there. So that is how I'm thinking about GFS, nice strong semiconductor stock. Switching over to coal stocks, this is BTU. So nice large base, and you can see this VCP action. See how it's building, high lows, high lows, high lows. You can see fairly clearly we've got some resistance around $30, but it's just kind of bumping into it and progressively building high lows. Triple digit earnings in the most recently reported quarters. Nice to see. Still a little bit choppy, so it just needs to quieten down underneath $30. Really let the 1021 EMA be there. But that's one I'm keeping an eye on. There are some strong looking coal stocks. Switching back over to semiconductor stocks. So This is AEHR. Now it has a history. You can see over here how tight it got, and then this really nice run that unfolded. So it has a history of being able to run and run pretty hard. You can see in here. You can see how in here how tight it got. You got triple-digit earnings for the last 4 quarters. Sales very high as well. 472, 190, 166, 89%. So what I am looking for here is a pivot point to develop in the mid-20 level. Now clearly on a short-term basis, it's kind of extended, wedging up here, but it is a very, very strong stock. So this is on the radar if it can just go sideways for a couple of weeks. MedPace Holdings. So medical research equipment services related company, steady Eddie with the earnings per share year-over-year growth. Institutions love that. You can see it down here with the earnings, the sales, the margins as well. So very positive reaction to the earnings. It gaps up, actually opens on the low of the day, strong close, pulls back down, finds support around the 10 EMA, bounces. Now it's starting to tighten up in the low $220 level. So you can start to see how it's just tightening up here for a potential low pivot. So this is one well and truly on my radar. Volume is drying up constructively as well. Ticker PI. This is the last one, so this is a semiconductor stocks, as I was saying. The real strength where I'm seeing it at the minute is oil and gas, commodity related stocks. Some of the coal stocks look good. Maybe some of the uranium stocks can come back in as well. But semiconductors, healthcare, biotech, and also those solar stocks. This one here is PI, very strong, really good estimates coming through. Earnings 950%, most recent quarter sales 51%, after tax margins accelerating 4, 5, 13. 3 high quality growth funds, 2 of which have been initiating and or increasing a position recently. Positive reaction to the earnings, so it gaps up on the earnings, that 950% change that you can see there, pulls back down, shake out underneath the 10 EMA, bounces, finds support with this nice shakeout demand tail on the 21 EMA, and potentially setting up around the $120 mark. So can it just tighten up? I drew that badly, didn't I? Can it just tighten up in there, drift sideways a little bit more, and get nice and tight, as you can see with this price action that happened over here? So that is what I'll be looking for. So that's it, guys. I will wrap the video up there. Hopefully that was helpful for you. So I'm going to do a midweek version of this with the MarketSmith Growth 250, then also a weekend video with the IBD 50 list. If there's any stocks that you think are interesting and you would like my views on, then please do comment down below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.